As you need courage in childhood, same you need in old age. Every spring will be like a sword sharp. You love the nature, your life, and when things start fading away, and as you keep bargaining with calendar, and the back door of death opens at your last moments, you will put on your carpet slippers and leave the world behind, saying goodbye.
Okay, thank you, Miss Achal, for the brilliant summary of the poem. Yes. Is there anyone else who is ready with the summary of the poem? Yes. Now, see, students, let us see what is the paraphrase or summary given in the textbook. Let us discuss it. The poem Courage states different ways where an individual can show courage. According to Sexton, courage is displayed in everyday life events. The poem is divided into four sections. Each section signifies a different phase in an individual's life. The first section stands for the childhood phase, the second for adulthood, the third stands for middle age, and the last section of the poem denotes old age. The poet gives examples in each life phase of how an individual needs to show courage. With the use of imagery, Sexton portrays a rich picture in this poem. The poem becomes confessional due to the use of personal pronouns we and you. In the first stanza of the poem, the poet describes courage in the childhood phase. At the very outset of the poem, the poet lays down the theme of the poem. The line, "It is in the small things we see it." Sexton conveys a message that it is in the small things of everyday life one needs courage. In the second line, she compared a child's first step with an earthquake, only to show how a child's first step can change the world of the child. Then she uses universal example of learning to ride a bike, stumbling up the sidewalk that needs courage. Sexton points out that courage is not to show bravery always or to do something special, but to accept difficult situations. In the last five lines of the first stanza, Sexton declares that people have all been oppressed in some way in their lives, perhaps for being poor, not good looking, being fat, or acting strangely. When some bully at school calls the child crybaby, hatty, or crazy, the child feels lonely. But the child shows courage again and conceals the heart. Sexton uses here the word their acid for the horrible words of the oppressor. In the second stanza, Sexton swings the reader from childhood to adulthood with the use of a single word later. Here, the poet shows how the soldier's courage is displayed against bombs and bullets. There was no flag, only a hat to cover the soldier's heart. The soldier does not nurse his weakness, but keeps courage like fiery coal burning within him. Sexton talks about a different form of courage, that is love, in the last four lines of the second stanza. Here, the poet says that the act of saving a fellow soldier's life is not the act of bravery, but love. The third stanza, the poet swings the readers from young adulthood to middle age. In the very first line of the third stanza, Sexton says that the misery of an individual's life will come due to any reason: love, hate, depression, illness, divorce, etc. Any despair which one faces in life is endured alone. In the next three lines, Sexton states that one has the capacity to change despair into opportunities, addressing the reader as kinsman, and Sexton personifies sorrow as one whose face is powdered, back is rubbed, and given rest, covered with a blanket, and then resumes life with wings and is transformed. This is sorrow endured and courage shown in difficult situations, which Sexton did in her own life. This is the stage when one can nurture oneself back to health and transform into something beautiful. In the last stanza, Sexton focuses on old age and death. In old age, courage will be shown in little ways. Every spring will be like a sword sharpened, and near and dear ones will experience one's greater love. Though death is inevitable, time on earth is bargained for and negotiated in old age. When death's invitation comes, the individual is ready, comfortable in carpet sleepers, to walk out with confidence into a different phase. This is not only the story of Sexton, but the story of all human beings. Yes, if you have, dear students, if you have any doubts and queries, you can put your queries in the chat box also. I can answer your queries. And if you don't have queries and doubts, then thank you for joining the class. See you again Monday morning in our next class. That's all. Thank you. Keep reading books, reading poetry, and enjoying life. Thank you for joining us. Do join us in our next class. If you have no doubt, then you can leave the meeting. If you have any doubt, you can keep on